Relationships always go through these 3 stages. One is attention. You will never have a relationship with someone if you didn't get their attention first, right? You have to grab each other's attention. 2, there has to be interest. This is what glues you together to have conversations and to keep having conversations. And then 3, the third stage is trust, and that is built on the back of multiple conversations. So one leads to another. Attention gets you the conversations, builds up interest, which then eventually builds up trust. This is the beautiful thing, is that once you've built trust with someone, you have their long-term attention. Meaning, have you ever gone on like LinkedIn or YouTube and you didn't even see the hook or the title, you just saw the person's face and immediately you stop and you read it? That is trust. Okay, that is exactly the kind of relationship I want you to build, that the person is always getting so much goodness from an interaction with you, whether they're learning, they're being uplifted, they have a positive relationship. And so as a result, your brand, your face, your whatever you want to call it, becomes the hook. It becomes the thing that attracts attention. So again, to recap, so that I don't confuse you guys, what does this have to do with everything? Businesses, relationships. Relationships are built in 3 stages. It's all about how long you can maintain attention. I want you to think of 3 creators that you like. And, you know, they can be as big or small as you want. And remember the first piece of content that got you interested in them. There's a good chance that there was something that either it was the first time you've ever seen them, or that was the first time you actually started paying attention to them. And the exercise is to ask yourself, what did I like about it? Try to describe it in 3 to 5 words. And then rate their content overall across the different types. So 1 to 5, or scale 1 to 10, how educational, how inspiring, how entertaining, how empathizing. And you want to basically look at any recurring patterns between your favorite content creators. I'm going to start a timer for 5 minutes and come back. The internet out of the equation, and imagine you've got 5 people stopping what they're, you know, doing to listen to you. How much would you care about these people? How much would you actually listen to people? How much attention would you give them if you saw them as real human beings, instead of constantly trying to have bigger fucking audiences? We're constantly trying to grow. For what? And what will change? If I have 1 million followers, but I'm not selling to anyone, nobody is gaining any value from my content. If tomorrow I had 1 million followers, what will change? What will magically change? Nothing will change. And so instead of thinking about more, bigger, how about we think about, what are we doing right now with what we got? How can we make the most of what we have? Because I assure you, having more is only going to be like an exaggeration or exaggerated view of what is happening on a micro level. So this really takes time. It takes time. So pick something you love, pick things you love, people you love, and commit to it over the long. Your fucking phones, your memo recorders, okay, or your journals, and just interview yourself like you're talking to the most fascinating human being ever. Because I promise you, if you looked at yourself, if you actually paid attention to your life and the things you had to overcome to get here, you'll realize there's a being there that is infinitely wise and really cool and really interesting and has a lot to share and a lot to say. So important to remember when we are creating from the heart is that you're not fully creating by yourself. You're co-creating with the creation itself. An example is the video that I made, the last video. I had no idea what it was going to be or how it's going to be about. At first, I was like just recording myself fixing the pipe. I put that footage aside. And then on the side, I had another project where I was writing a script for another video. And I was like, oh, actually, how am I going to stitch this? What is this? Oh, there's a workshop coming. And then I turned it into a story and I put it together and it became a video. Did I know from the beginning this is, Lorena, you know this because you also paint and draw. You know how when you're drawing and you start drawing and you have no idea what it's going to be at the end, and then it just kind of like, oh, this is what it's becoming. Okay, right? There is a point where you're like, okay, I thought I was going to create this, but it's actually becoming this. This is what creativity is all about. It's really magical. And you can have creativity in anything. The problem with like borrowing strategies from people who have made it, I'm not against it. But the problem is that we're not looking at the fact that that person, the reason why they are where they are is because they were also at the right place at the right time. This is not to discount their effort. This is to say that the thing they did, which is authentically theirs, which is uniquely theirs, they did it for long enough until they got really good. It started to become mainstream. Everybody else started paying attention. Oh, this person is getting traction. It must be because of this thing they do. No, it's because of who they are. Poor product market fit simply means either the product You hear me say product, I mean service, offering, whatever it is you're selling. The product and the audience, the person that you're selling to, they don't fit either because the product is not right for them or they're not right for the product. Again, it's a question of how much do you care about the product? How much do you care about it being exactly this way? My advice to you is take your product, take the audience, the people that you're excited to sell to, who are what you would imagine the person who would benefit from your thing, and then try to fit your product to them by just aligning little things instead of being like, fuck this audience, I'll find another one, or fuck this product, let's make another one. It's more like, how can I take what I have and package it in such a way that it's appealing to them? And that comes from conversations, hence relating, what we talked about. They're unaware of the offer because the way you explained it is not clear enough. This is another thing that a lot of conscious creators and spiritual people and creative people struggle with. We use a lot of big words because we're trying to translate something that is like in another dimension. We're trying to bring it back to like the physical world. We're trying to make it real. And when we do that, we don't find the words. And so we use these, like, we try to borrow other spiritual people's languages, and it ends up being the soup that makes zero sense. And people are like, cool, I'm happy for you that you're helping people get into alignment with their spirits unfolding of truth. That's awesome, but I'm not buying this because I don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm not making fun of you guys, by the way, because I struggled, and this was like, so I felt so much shame and embarrassment and frustration about the fact that as a marketer, I could not find the instead of a funnel where they go in and out through the funnel and they make these decisions and they get out. In the sphere, at a first layer, they are a content consumer. You get their attention, they watch, they read, etc. Then they're like interested. Hopefully every piece of content you create makes them go, what else does this person have? Not necessarily how can I get them to buy, more like what else does she or he got? Like, I want to see more. So if they are a consumer, they become interested. And if they're interested, they become a core fan. So the key about this sphere is that it's not static. Your audience moves in and out of the sphere. And you can think of your own experiences with other creators. Maybe you fell in love with a creator and you watch every fucking video, and then someday you just kind of drop. You stop it, you get distracted, maybe, I don't know, they're not interesting to you anymore, you grow out of it. And then weeks, months, even years go by and you bump into them again. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Talk about this model, guys. I'm not saying that the funnel is wrong and bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you want to build awareness, consideration, conversion, and retention about the product or service you're selling, not the human being. The human being is not something you shove inside a funnel. Like, I don't, that's the point, okay? So use the sphere for this kind of content where you're just being human with people. So what kind of content creates this core audience? You probably have heard this. This is an oversimplified one. I actually have more dimensions that I believe are, pieces to creating this kind of connection. But if you group them, most people know them as educate, inspire, entertain, and empathize. What they mean is, simple terms, educate obviously is you're giving people insights that hopefully help them make better buying decisions as well. So you're changing their minds. We'll talk about this. So no more space for bland marketing. You want marketing that is fully yours. And this is the key. You just got to give yourself full permission to do it your way. Stop trying to be the next X. Just believe in yourself. You have ideas. You have interesting ideas. You have skills. You have gifts. You have things. You have knowledge. But you have to allow yourself to do it your way instead of trying to find reassurance that so-and-so did it that way, so I have to do it that way too. And this is it, really. Artists are artists because they can't help but develop their own unique way of doing things, their own signature. This I want to leave you with, because this is the hill I will die on, that we are all born artists, and you can't help but develop your own way. So unless you give yourself permission to do that, you will never be happy with your marketing. You will always be stifled. It will always feel like a struggle. So give yourself permission to do it your way.